Welcome back to the Healthy Skin Coach Show. I'm your host, Takashi, helping you biohack your way to healthy skin and longevity. Today, I have a really cool guest with me. His name is Oz Garcia, and he is a world-renowned biohacker, and he's the go-to nutritionist for A-list celebrities and Fortune 100 CEOs. Some of his celebrities include Hilary Swank, Heidi Klum, and Naomi Campbell. And I want to shout out my good friend Andrew for connecting Oz with me. And thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew, indeed. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for joining the podcast. Let's dive right in. So I was looking at the countries with the highest life expectancies, and Hong Kong was number one, and Japan was number two at just above 84 years old. Why do you think that is? You know, for me, I was guessing that it's a combination of the Mediterranean diet with a lot of fish and omega-3s and the low stress life.
Oh, let's just say that when you break down the Japanese diet, what you've got is an enormous amount of calories coming in from fat. About 60% of the Japanese diet is fat, primarily from fish. So let's start there. And that's a fat that's extremely high in omega-3 fatty acids, DHA and EPA. These particular fats have remarkable therapeutic effects on your heart, inflammation, right? And when I'm talking about inflammation, I'm talking about systemic. It brings inflammation down in your body and in your brain. So there are other things that are very beneficial. The Japanese diet is extremely high. The vegetables in particular, when I was working in Japan, I was amazed at the variety of all sorts of edibles that were both vegetables and the different kinds of fruits, but the vegetables are also grown in a soil that's extremely high, believe it or not, in hyaluronic acid. So there are different regions of Japan where the lifespan is even longer. Skin looks amazing, the quality of hair looks amazing. So the longest of people on earth right now are actually different regions of Japan. It's 87 plus years for women, and they look remarkable at the end of their lives. They're also very active, they're ambulatory. So it has a lot to do, of course, with the quality of diet, which is really quite remarkable. And I'd say being very ritualized. So the kind of rituals that you find in different Asian cultures, certainly in Japan, are not the kind of rituals that you have here. You don't wake up immediately. You're on your digital information, especially the content of the news, that's really stressful, to your point. So you do have primarily, in terms of having caffeine, tea. And tea, as you and I both know, is very rich in different chemicals that actually reduce stress in the body. One of them is called theanine, which is really quite amazing. And there are other chemicals in green tea, ECZEMA, which reduces inflammatory damage throughout the body too. So you've got a combination of the high fat that's found in seafood, which is also great for your skin, the low amount of caffeine, along with the different chemicals that are in tea, which are really great for you, and the high variety of vegetables.
Yeah, I also agree. And tea, I was looking into the ingredients in tea, and ECZEMA, which stands for epigallocatechin, which is a fun name to say. And so many beneficial properties, including decreasing prostaglandins and leukotrienes and lengthening telomeres, which is a biomarker for aging. And I've been obsessed with researching inflammatory biomarkers and how I can reduce the number of leukotrienes and prostaglandins, which have been linked to every medical condition out there, including cancers and heart disease and Alzheimer's. Any food for me that can reduce those inflammatory chemicals is a win in my book.
Well, you named it. The classical Japanese diet is profoundly anti-inflammatory. When you travel throughout Japan, an immense variety of different styles of eating. If you go further north, in that region, you have a lot of vegetarian dishes too. So depending on where you are, you're going to find different beneficial aspects to the diet. It's always amazing to me when I traveled inland in Japan, you find some of the chefs, they're in their late 80s and full heads of hair, remarkably astute, really with it. And the diet that they eat, again, is a rich combination of fish, different kinds of meat, poultry, and so on. But really what you have is the vegetables that are grown in highly enriched soils. Remember what I said to you before, that you find a lot of macronutrients that are found in the soils in Japan that are not found here anymore. So it's that rich bath of micronutrients that you're getting in the vegetables, in the different soups that you have. Miso broth itself, miso on a regular basis, the high consumption of fermented foods. You're starting off already with miso, a bowl of rice, a small amount of fish. And then instead of a hard cup of coffee, you've got green tea. So this is a very well-rounded, high anti-inflammatory way to start your day. And then something like that along those lines that you'll have in the afternoon, certainly in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've also been obsessed by omega-3 versus omega-6 ratios and how I can optimize my body by getting that 1-to-1 ratio. And most Americans are omega-3 deficient. I would say 90%. And some of the ratios are crazy, like 50 omega-6s to 1 omega-3s. And that's just so much inflammation that's just being built up. And over time, it just damages every organ you can think of and leads to all these medical conditions. So anyone who's listening or watching, you have to get in your omega-3s every single day. And what it does is it downregulates arachidonic acid, which downregulates prostaglandins to help you reduce inflammation.
You're correct. When you have a highly inflammatory diet that's rich in omega-6 fatty acids, this is going to be extremely harmful. Omega-6 fats are found in everything from processed oils, processed fats, corn oil, canola oil, margarine, foods that are cooked in these particular fats, foods that are extremely processed, where you've got frostings, different kinds of condiments, and so on, that are produced with a high amount of omega-6 fatty acids. So the ratio in America is way out of proportion, extremely high to omega-3 fatty acids. This is inflammatory all the way, and it's going to contribute to things like arthritis, joint problems, systemic inflammation, inflammation around your heart, and what we call the inflamed brain. So many people that suffer from depression, anxiety, if you're eating a diet extremely high in omega-3 fatty acids, you can actually reduce the amount of anxiety, depression, simply because the brain prefers a diet that's extremely rich in omega-3 fatty acids. This is important for you and your listeners to know.
Mm-hmm. And it's especially important right now because the coronavirus has killed off many Americans that it could have been prevented, because a lot of these Americans are diabetic or obese, and it's causing too much inflammation inside the body, which increases your risk of the cytokine storm that happens in response to the virus, causing your organs to shut down. And I always say that we should optimize health starting today. There's no time to wait.
No question about it. Well, the number one causative problem that leads to being affected and moved very rapidly through the CIVITS-19 treadmill all the way to a respirator is being overweight or obese. So if you're overweight, that is the number one liability against you in terms of the infection itself, moving from possibly being somewhat benign to actually being deadly. And so beyond that, you have secondary problems that show up with people that are overweight and obese, like diabetes, type 2 diabetes, other inflammatory problems within the body. Yes, you're correct. Cytokine storms are where you've got a lot of these molecules called cytokines that build up in the lungs when you've got a lot of inflammation and an immune system that's out of control, can't regulate itself anymore. And that problem occurs when the body itself is not regulating its blood sugar, it's not regulating its weight. There are other metabolic problems. And if you're overweight, in many instances, you're not fit. So your body can't really generate a good immune response if you're overweight, you're possibly pre-diabetic, you're not fit, your lungs don't oxygenate well. All of those things, plus other things that we could just keep stacking on, make you a very strong candidate for moving along the treadmill, possibly one in hospitals. It's really quite unfortunate.
I was curious what your thoughts are on the carnivore diet, because personally, it doesn't make sense for me to upregulate so much arachidonic acid, but people swear by the carnivore diet and helping them reduce inflammation. So I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
My opinion, and there are several advocates of the carnivore diet that I'm not going to mention their names. I think that everybody has a different requirement in terms of what's the perfect diet for you. I don't really think that the carnivore diet works all that well for many people. There are people that tend to have very severe problems, allergies, and so on. And when they go on an almost 100% meat diet, they'll have poultry, they'll have seafood, red meat, almost to the exclusion of all vegetables, most fruit, certainly no carbohydrates. For a lot of people that try it, especially if they've got autoimmune disorders, it seems to work really well. I think you need to Mediterranean way of eating seems to be most suitable for most people most of the time. So I'm not a big fan of the carnivore diet. I have found with people that have autoimmune problems, like I said before, individuals that are suffering terribly from eczema, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, and so on, in some instances, rheumatoid arthritis, they do very well by removing all carbohydrates. But this has to be done under a lot of care, a lot of supervision, so that you don't make mistakes by going on a carnivore diet and find yourself suffering other problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've been researching how we can lengthen our telomeres, which is a biomarker for aging. And
correct.
And in looking at telomerase, these enzymes help lengthen the telomeres. And
Correct.
I was wondering, do you think at some point we can achieve immortality by adjusting these enzymes to continually increase the telomere length without having the cancer risk?
Oh, well, there are different nutrients that you can use that actually increase telomeres. One of the ways that you can control telomere length or increase telomerase, which is a chemical that makes the telomeres. Now, telomeres are the tips of your DNA, of actually your chromosome. Let's even be more exact. So just like the tips of a shoestring, right? Like the string on a pair of sneakers, those tips themselves would be the telomeres themselves. And as you and I get older, what happens is as DNA replicates, the telomeres, the tips themselves get shorter. You can do fasting, you can do intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting actually reduces the speed at which you age, and it reduces the speed at which telomeres shorten. You can actually lengthen the tips of your genetic material, your telomeres, and you can increase telomerase, which increases telomeres, by skipping meals several times a week, also by periodically doing complete underfeeding. So maybe once a month, if you're so inclined, every other month, but you do, 5 days to 7 days, primarily on water, maybe tea, miso broth, highly diluted green juices. In other words, you would do a week, 5 days to 7 days, primarily on liquids. And if you're really encouraged to do it on water, but that has a massive impact on increasing telomere length and none of the risks associated with pushing your telomeres artificially to grow and increasing your risk of cancer.
Yeah. And I do intermittent fasting every day, and I only eat from 12 to around 8 p.m. So I skip breakfast. And I also do like a 1-day fast when I run out of groceries, or like the first day of the month, I just do a 1-day fast. And yeah, it's so beneficial for the body and helping to reduce those pro-inflammatory cytokines that builds up inside the body and boost human growth hormone, and it activates autophagy,
correct,
which is part of the
correct,
anti-aging process. And I'm a huge fan of David Sinclair and how, we have to activate these hormetic responses in order to signal our body to become stronger and to become more resilient.
So hormesis itself is stress in the body, but healthy stress. So for instance, exercise will put a certain amount of healthy stress in your body, which is hormetic in nature, right? Underfeeding, doing intermittent fasting is hormetic in nature. So anything that produces a certain kind of tolerable stress in your body will increase your lifespan. So that's why doing even extremes of hot or cold, just like Wim Hof, if you can do an ice bath several times a week, if you can do saunas, infrared saunas several times a week, these are low grade impact forms of good quality hormetic stress on your biology that will actually make your DNA and your telomeres grow a little bit, right? Actually reduces the speed at which they shorten and slows down, your speed or my speed towards, our finitude. Now, why David Sinclair is so remarkable is he is a brilliant geneticist out of Harvard, actually, that identified, along with other geneticists that work with him, certain things that will have an impact on telomere expression and on overall DNA expression within your body. So what he found was that resveratrol, which is an extract of red wine or found in red wine, but when you concentrate and you make it into a supplement, that resveratrol has the effect of slowing aging down as a braking system by actually feeding aspects of DNA expression. Same thing, he also found that NAD, which is a compound highly related to vitamin B3, is critical for slowing down aging. So it's a combination of resveratrol, NAD, and also a third compound, which is called NMN, Nancy, Michael, Nancy. So when you put all three together, which is what David Sinclair discovered, is that not only do you slow down the speed of body's aging, but there may be benefits in terms of your immune system. Certainly now when we're dealing with the pandemic. So if you can increase NAD sources, you can even get it intravenously. It will have an impact, one, on the speed at which you're aging. Two, it also has an upregulating effect on your immune system. So NAD, resveratrol, NMN, based on the work of David Sinclair, are critical nutrients in order to slow down the speed at which you and I are aging, improve our overall performance as we age, and it appears to actually maybe slow down the damage of the COVID-19 virus. Oh, and you also mentioned something else, Akashi, which is really important, if you don't mind. You mentioned autophagy. Autophagy is where we build up cells in our body that are in large measure worthless, right? They no longer do you any good. They don't do me any good. And what you want to do is have a good removal system as you and I get older for removing cells that are essentially zombie cells, right? They cause inflammation. They're not doing anything. And they can contaminate cells next to them that are healthy and speed up their aging. So autophagy is where cells, in a way, self-destruct, autophagy, and by using things like NAD, resveratrol, intermittent fasting, what you're doing is making autophagy work with much greater efficiency in your body. These things actually slow down the speed at which you're aging while improving immune system function.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to add that Yoshinori, who discovered autophagy, won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2016.
Correct.
So it's very important that everyone knows that autophagy allows you to live longer. So we need to incorporate fasting into our lives.
That is correct. And you it sounds like you're already ahead. I've been fasting regularly for over 40 years. So I started fasting around 1974, 1975. And it actually allowed me to cure myself from migraine headaches. So, now we've got a vocabulary. Clearly, a migraine headache is an inflammatory response to multiple systems in your body. They're not working well. And once I started fasting, I probably in the last 40 years, I can tell you that I've had maybe 2 incidents where I had migraine headaches and I immediately put myself on a fast right away and healed them. Whereas I used to get migraine headaches 2-3 times a week. Now I get them 2 or 3 times a decade.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right?
And I did a 3-day fast to heal my eczema, debilitating eczema, and it worked tremendously. I noticed my skin reduced in inflammation. The pores in my face was smaller because it reduced sebum production, and
Yes.
it's so beneficial for your health.
Absolutely remarkable. Fasting, you and I could agree, probably works across the board, with many autoimmune problems. And then beyond that, for the average individual, you can jump ahead and say that intermittent fasting or doing periodic fasting, like you said, like 3 days, come off, highly measurable effects on many different problems within people's bodies. I would never put somebody on a diet way. We already know that if you're on a diet for, let's say, even a month, that once you come off it and you're trying to deal with your metabolism, lose weight with it, you're going to gain the weight back and probably more. What we do know is that if you do intermittent fasting, where several days a week you reduce your eating or skip meals here and there, over the course of several months, not only will you drop the weight, but you'll also improve your metabolic threshold. So what will happen is, rather than going on a diet, losing weight, and your metabolism drops so that you immediately start to eat and gain weight back, you can actually set your metabolism higher so it becomes increasingly more difficult to gain weight back after you've been on intermittent fasting, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and so on. So it should become part of almost everybody's lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite biohacks for healthier skin?
Everything that you and I have been talking about, Takashi, right? So high omega-3 fat, reduce processed foods in your diet, increase resveratrol, NAD in your diet, make sure that you get an adequate amount of sleep. I would say minimum 8 hours to 9 hours. I use a quantifiable tool, which is called an Oura Ring. So it's spelled O-U-R-A. Now, the Oura Ring is able to measure pretty much all my daytime activity. It gives me a lot more data in terms of what goes on during my day, but it also gives me a lot of data about my sleep. Even if you get 8 hours of sleep, you want to make sure that those 8 hours are made up of different parts that will actually have an impact on your skin. And then obviously if it's having an impact on your skin, it's going to have an impact on other things that have to do with your health. But deep sleep, which is a critical part of your sleep, typically should be between 1 to 2 hours, is measured by the Oura Ring. And you can do different things. If you're not getting, more than an hour of deep sleep on a regular basis, then there are different things that you can do to improve your sleep and your skin as a consequence. Also, you can measure REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the amount of sleep that you get when you're dreaming, and then the quality of your overall sleep, what you and I would call light sleep. So the Oura Ring lets you measure all of that data and information. It downloads it into an app, and I can look every day at the quality of my sleep. The result of that is I can then, from that, make a decision in terms of what time to go to sleep, what time to wake up, how much food I should eat nighttime, if I should eat much earlier, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, I can keep setting certain guidelines based on the information from my Oura Ring. By the way, Fitbit makes a kind of version that also measures quality of sleep. It's called a Fitbit Ultra. But the thing I like about the Oura Ring is it can also measure body temperature, heart rate variability, all the different things that improve quality of skin. And I both know that if you're not sleeping well, and it goes on for days, your skin just looks terrible, right? So one of the things that I do know is quality of sleep is critical. In fact, I would say that when you stack them all together, sleep, nutrition, physical fitness, mindfulness practices, being able to use quantifiable tools like the Oura Ring, which I think are absolutely critical to quality of skin. Many people would say, well, why? Well, because you reduce in your body when you meditate the kinds of chemicals and hormones that are damaging to your body, to your brain, and to your skin. Cortisol being one of them, norepinephrine being another one of them. So you gotta bundle it all together.
Definitely. I take collagen powder every single day, and I'm gonna have my own line.
Beautiful.
Stay tuned for that.
I'd love to carry your collagen powder once again.
Thank you. And for Aura Rings, I don't have one, but if you want to sponsor the show, please email me at thehealthybeingcoach@gmail.com.
You're doing our listeners a great favor. Remember also, they can't afford the Aura Ring, a Fitbit Ultra, which you can get for, about $70 on Amazon. You don't get all the data from an Aura Ring, but you can start there.
Definitely. Again, I'm obsessed with researching inflammatory biomarkers like prostaglandin and how it can lead to cancer, and how aspirin inhibits cyclooxygenase, which downregulates prostaglandins. So I was wondering,
Correct.
what your thoughts on are taking, let's say, aspirin maybe once a month or once a week, just as a precaution to prevent cancers from happening?
Well, there are a lot of problems with aspirin. For many years, it was considered to be, this wonder drug. It's actually salicylic acid. So you can actually get the natural source itself. You can reduce prostaglandin buildup overall. Also, curcumin. Curcumin has very similar effects to aspirin overall. I'm not a big fan of aspirin simply because aspirin can also cause micro tears in the bowel wall. Autoimmune disorders can also hurt themselves by taking aspirin on a regular basis. So whereas it used to be thought that it was a remarkable, almost a vitamin, now we know that aspirin can cause a lot more problems. And it used to be thought that it reduced the potential for a heart attack or heart disease. Well, you may as well take curcumin, omega-3 fats, which work as an antiprostaglandin inhibitor. So you've got a full spectrum of nutrients that work to reduce inflammation within your body without ever touching aspirin at all, given the fact that we now know that there's so many side effects related to aspirin that we didn't even know 5 years ago.
Yep. And I always say drugs aren't the answer. Food is the ultimate answer, and it's the ultimate medicine. There's so many foods that can help reduce prostaglandins naturally, including, like you said, curcumin, which is turmeric, ginger, EPA and DHA in fish oil, tea. There's chamomile, there's sulforaphane and green leafy vegetables. So
correct.
If you're listening or watching, please know that drugs are not the answer. Food is the answer.
You got it.
My next question is, what do you think about the bioavailability of multivitamins? How most of these vitamins are not the complex form, which you need the other cofactors in order to really get the benefits of, say, vitamin C. So most people kind of depend on multivitamins when they're not getting the actual complete vitamin from food.
Well, you can actually use very novel nutrients on their own to actually improve how the body works overall. So there's a wonderful amino acid-like compound called carnitine. Now you can take carnitine, which is found in meat, for instance, but when you concentrate it and you acetylate it and you convert it to something called acetyl L-carnitine, improves focus, vigilance, intelligence, memory. It's one of the best products in the world for increasing what's called BDNF, brain-derived neuronal factor. So if you want to improve your intelligence, you can take acetyl L-carnitine and, just separate it from food sources. You can do that with many nutrients, many herbs that work on their own remarkably well in terms of having a highly measurable impact on how your body works. Many people say, well, everything has to be natural and it has to be from food. Well, the fact is that's not true. We know that if you're actually in the middle of a cytokine storm, if I give you 5, 10, 15, 20,000 milligrams of vitamin C, either oral or intravenously, I can control the inflammatory damage in your body really well. And you're not going to get that by eating, orange after orange after orange. You just can't get that amount. Supplements on their own have highly measurable effects on how well your body performs, and they do not have to come from foods themselves. I want most of my micronutrients, that being said, from my diet. So I'm not going to get the nutrients that I want to get from eating kale, let's say by necessarily eating a kale extract. I want the kale itself. And you're not going to get it by trying to concentrate those nutrients and stick those in a capsule.
On that point, is glutathione intravenously more bioavailable than through food?
Yeah, you're not going to get it through food at all, really. It's wonderful for your skin, has a multitude of effects on many parameters within your body. It's also sulfur-based amino acid. Given the fact that you want to actually regulate your aging process, you want a good source of glutathione. The best source of it is going to be taking it intravenously. Yes, there are supplements that are really, really good. So acetylated glutathione is a supplement that'll get glutathione past your stomach acid into your body, but it's nowhere near as effective as if I put it into an intravenous solution that's going to go directly into your vein, along with other supplements, other nutrients.
And what are your thoughts on using glutathione as a skin lightening agent, which is commonly used in Asian countries?
That's a preference. That's more of a preference. I mean, we do know that, say throughout Indonesia, it's used as a skin lightener. You can get glutathione creams. For some people, it's used in very high amounts regularly in order to lighten skin, intravenously. But you're not going to get that result as successfully as if you put it into a cream where you get absorption directly into the tissue. This is a cultural preference, and I'm not a big advocate of doing that.
Yeah. Some of my friends are taking 20 supplements a day. Is there diminishing returns to taking so many pills?
I probably take 3 courses a day of about 20 pills each time. But, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I'm about a half a year away from being 70. So, if you were to look at me, the quality of my hair, my skin, the fact that I work out as well as I do, the fact that I do yoga, I run, I'm a member of Equinox, and I work out regularly. My body is very similar, I would say, epigenetically to a body that's maybe 30 years younger. So I'm probably, I would say, biologically about 38, 40, although chronologically I'm closer to 70. And I'm using nutrients, supplementation, different categories, different kinds of vitamin E, different kinds of glutathione, different kinds of carnitine, different herbal products, and so on. Fish oil in very high amounts, curcumin. I use theanine, which is made from green tea, etc., because each one of these has an impact in terms of my skin, quality of my hair, and my most precious asset, which is my brain. But it's taken me years, Takashi, to actually figure out the different combinations. A lot of people think that what you're going to do is piss all your supplements out. And that's because they don't know, not to take a lot of commercial products that really don't do much of anything. There are highly sophisticated supplements, nutraceuticals, that have a measurable impact on your heart, your ability to detox your body, build better neurons, allow you to build a better body as you get older so that I can build a better chest, have better strength in terms of my muscles. So overall, you can use different kinds of supplements to produce a much younger body overall. But you got to really know what you're doing in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you look amazing for almost being 70 years old. So props to you.
Thanks, Takashi. Thank you so much. I'm taking my own advice.
What are your thoughts on TRT and human growth hormone replacement therapy?
I don't like using growth hormone, but I'm a big fan of different peptides that actually allow your body to produce its own growth hormone in adequate amounts. So GHRP, growth hormone releasing peptide, there are different kinds of it. There's GHRP2, there's GHRP3, there's GHRP4, 6. Each one allows your body to produce copious amounts of your own growth hormone, right? And it actually keeps you younger. The effects are absolutely breathtaking and remarkable. But I like things that actually prompt my body to produce it I think using growth hormone externally is very old school. There's no real reason to do that anymore. When you've got such powerful products like peptides, they'll do it for you. You know, will use your own body, will affect your own pineal gland so that you produce high quality growth hormone on your own. There's liabilities for many, many people that use external exogenous testosterone. You know, number one is you can lose your hair. Number two is it can cause a lot of inflammation. Number three is it can accelerate problems with your prostate. Yes, you know, for some guys that are testosterone deprived, this is a problem. But same thing, there are wonderful peptides that increase testosterone naturally, your own testosterone naturally. There are certain nutrients, there are certain herbs. Fenugreek does it. Tribulus increases testosterone. A combination of tribulus and fenugreek will do it for you. Why go to external testosterone, increase my risk of losing my hair, my risk of increasing the potential for prostate cancer and other kinds of cancer, when I can use so many wonderful products like the two that I mentioned, inclusive ashwagandha, which is herb from Ayurvedic medicine. It actually comes from a seaweed. Ashwagandha is remarkable for reducing stress in the body, improving quality of sleep, etc. And it makes you produce your own growth hormone, right? So you can use fenugreek, ashwagandha, tribulus. On top of that, you can use certain peptides that will make your body produce more growth hormone, and never, ever, ever use testosterone replacement therapy at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My goal is to help everyone in the world heal their eczema. And I want to eradicate eczema in the world. And that's my goal, and helping people understand the importance of food, of nutrition, of lifestyle, and all the things we just talked about in order to achieve
Correct.
Optimal health. That's what I say to all my clients is you got to fix the gut first. You got to heal from the
Correct.
Yep.
And I would add to that, I would say probably having a high amount of varied probiotics is going to make a huge difference too. You have to have fermented food in your diet. I don't handle dairy well, but I can eat a yogurt made from almond milk, coconut milk. There are many probiotic beverages in the market. There's a cashew milk that I love, which is very rich in probiotics. I think it's Folgers. Really quite amazing. So you've got, you know, an immense variety of foods that are fermented, high in probiotics, that you can build your microbiome remarkably well. You know, and eating fermented foods, pickled vegetables, borscht, miso broth, yogurts are the ones that I'm talking about, different high, rich probiotic beverages, et cetera, just like the ones that I mentioned. This is going to build your microbiome. And by doing fasting on a regular basis, like I talked about before, you're reducing inflammation throughout the bowel wall. That's reducing micro tears in your bowel. So if you have dysbiosis, if you've got any inflammation at all, where food can go through micro tears in the bowel wall and then trigger autoimmune responses on your skin. So backing off of eating, making sure that you're fasting, and then on a regular basis, and then making sure that what you eat is low impact, low lectin foods. Those are the ones that we talked about, you know, especially wheat, which is a very, very high lectin food. Lectins are high inflammatory, found in many agriculturally based grains. So I would say oats falls into that category. For many people, it's buckwheat, certainly wheat. For some people, it's also corn. You know, corn is found in so many foods, especially as a sweetener. You know, corn syrup, etc. So by reducing, limiting, and backing away from many of those foods, in combination with the different kinds of fasting that you and I have been talking about, and doing infrared saunas or ice cold baths, this has a profound effect on your body.
Mm-hmm. This has been an amazing podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Where can the viewers and listeners find you?
They can go to my website, ozgarcia.com. They can also go to Amazon. I've got 5 books on Amazon. But I'd say go to my website. They can track us down through there. All our phone numbers. They can reach my office manager. My emails are there. By going to ozgarcia.com, they'll be able to track me down and ask more questions, or set up a time to see me.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Takashi, same to you. You're awesome.
Taco is out.